Hey you guys, welcome back to Angel Angela, and on this topic I wanted to talk to you guys about how you never truly know the narcissist until it's over. You never truly know the narcissist until it's over, because when you met them, they were wearing a mask. While you were in the relationship, they were wearing a mask. It came a point in time where they couldn't hide anymore who they were. You know, in the beginning, things happened. You overlooked it. You know, maybe out of your own ignorance. Or you just didn't, your perception on bad people wasn't clear because you weren't fully conscious yet. So you were looking at bad people like, bad people are serial killers. Bad people are people who rob banks, people who, kill people, sexual predators, molestation, you think to yourself, that's a bad person. But when you're dealing with a narcissist, what's so crazy is that the bad people are right in front of you and you just can't see it. You don't know them. You think you know them while you're with them, but you do not know them. You don't know their spirit. And I realized when I was, I wasn't fully conscious. I thought I was awake, right? Because I was able to make my own choices in life, because I wasn't allowing people to control me. So I thought I was in a state of awakeness, of consciousness, I guess. But I was just awake. I was just what you call woke, right? I was just woke. And I started to make my own choices. And because I was making my own choices, I started to pay attention to the narcissist more. The things that didn't make sense to me, but the narcissist tried to normalize it, I realized there's something deeply wrong there. And by noticing that, I noticed that type of energy in other people, right? And it was like I was waking up to another world, and I was like, oh, snap, I thought I was awake, but it's like all this stuff's been in front of me. The narcissist has been doing things in front of me, but I wasn't catching it. Now I'm catching it, and now I'm trying to, build my own hypothesis on what this is, my own conclusions on why they're behaving this way or what they're doing behind my back, or I'm starting to figure out their tactics of manipulation without even doing research. You're just living this, and you're like almost, in a state of shock, because everything you thought, when you think about bad people, what your perception was, at least, you didn't see that in the narcissist. You didn't think he was a sexual predator. You didn't think he was a stalker. You didn't think he was an abuser. You didn't think that he was really wicked. You thought he might have been bipolar. She might have been bipolar. But you didn't know that those moments of them being bipolar and portraying to be crazy and getting angry, you didn't know that that was a front. You didn't know that they were really being fake with you. Them faking arguments, faking anger, faking being mad at you when you're the one that should be upset. They literally act like they're mad, and they'll stick their noses in the air, and they'll walk around, extra ignorant, even extra ignorant, as if, you don't really know me. They have this, you don't know me. I don't care. I know what I'm doing it's wrong. I know I'm taking advantage of you. And they're getting mad. They're getting mad at anyone who calls them out on their bad behavior. And, looking back now, even, once upon a time I had a roommate, when I was younger, and the girl that moved in or whatever, she had a daughter, and she wasn't taking care of her daughter, and she was messing with different men. And then she didn't want to leave my place. Like, I was trying to get her out to leave because I did her a favor by letting her move in, trying to help her as a single mother because I felt bad for her daughter. And I remember when, my family came over and they were trying to get her out, she was giving them these evil eyes, and what's so crazy is that all the narcissists that betrayed me, they all linked up to each other. Like, I've told you guys in many videos, like, the energy, it's the same energy, because there's no way that all the people that I've been connecting to since I was young to my adulthood, living in different places, different areas, there's no way that all these people can connect to each other. And I came to even a point where I told you guys I met up with an old friend, and as soon as I met her, I was in a state of consciousness that I didn't even know I was in at that time, because as soon as I seen her, I told her, I said, "Do you know so-and-so?" And she's like, "Yeah, does he drive this? Does he have these type of cars? And he rides a motorcycle?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she's like looking at me. My friend was looking at me, and she thought that I was coming over there to expose her for her narcissism. And she got so triggered, right? She got so triggered that I told her about someone that we had a mutual connection with, but I had no idea we had that mutual connection. Something in my mind, my consciousness told me to ask her. It was as if when I was in front of her, I could like feel her energy. I could feel the people that she knows, that she's connected to. I could feel everything about her. I could feel just the energy. It was crazy. And I asked her, I said, because at this point, I wasn't awake anymore. I wasn't just making my own choices. I was putting myself in other people's shoes. I was connecting to everyone. And that was when my consciousness grew. So that's why I was able to know things about her that she didn't know that I knew. And come to find out, the girl that roommated with me when I was younger was connected to her as well. And I thought it was very strange. I was like, she's connected to her. She's connected to this guy that I know, that I started dating right after the narcissist. And how would I know this information? I asked her, and how would I know? And when I asked her this, she started to reveal things about what she had done to betray me in the past. She actually came clean. And, she was like, I was younger, I'm sorry, and it was like she knew I could see right through her. Because it's like, you don't really know these people while you're friends with them. And then when you're not friends with them and you're having your spiritual journey, you realize so many things were going on because you were in a state of mind of sleep. But what I also realized was that she did little things that alerted me to realize that she hadn't changed. And I basically, I literally gave her, I dropped some seeds, and I noticed that she was going through a lot of bad things back to back to back. And I was like, it's time to get away. And you realize later on, like, oh, snap, that wasn't a good friend, or dang, that friend must have really got over on me because I wasn't paying attention. I didn't even realize people were capable of doing that. Or, I was helping this friend out because she was in a bad situation. Who would have known, looking back, how ungrateful that was? Like, I think back now and I'm like, it's crazy because I didn't really know these people. And now if I check, if I was to go back to the past and check on those people that betrayed me, all of them are doing bad. All of them are miserable. And all of them, honestly, I can honestly say that they're living according to what they have put out. But, not only that, I find it interesting that these people are all connected to each other. It's like it runs into evil. Like, that's why that's why the relationship never works out with the narcissist, because they're attracted to evil. They're using your light, but they really want to go and dance with the devil, with their demons. And that goes for other generations as well. It happened to many others, and it continues to happen. And that's what I realize about narcissists, is that you don't really know them till the end. Another part of my consciousness awakening, I would say, is that when I started to get around certain empaths, if they were surrounded by narcissists, these narcissists would automatically know that I was awake. Like, they knew I was in a state of mind where I was awake. They just didn't know how awake I was. So when I would make jokes, if I'm, having interactions with these people and I'm making jokes, and they're throwing little shade at me, they're throwing little, things at me, and I don't overlook the things that they say, and I give them the same energy they're giving, except I'm doing it in a way where they know that they can't, destroy my energy at all. And I can literally get into these groups with these, maybe I have an empathetic friend and they invite me over. I can literally get into these groups, and within 5-10 minutes, I already know everything I need to know. And a lot of times the narcissist people, it's not that they hate me. They don't hate me. They don't say anything. They actually enjoy that I'm awake. But what they do hate, what I will say that they hate about people like me, who they know are conscious, but they know that we're not evil. We don't have an evil intent like they do, right? What they don't like about us, just by knowing we're awake and they can feel our energy too. They know we can literally hear their thoughts. Like, when they're thinking evil things, we can actually hear the voice of what they're saying, even without hearing their voice. We can hear their voice. It's like a telepathic communication with these narcissists as well, especially the self-aware ones. So you're having this like telepathic conversation without even saying too many words. And then you have someone sitting there that's awake. They think for themselves, but they're living in a state of mind where they're being controlled by the narcissist. Because what I mean controlled by the narcissist, I mean that they've came to a point of their life where they're awake because they've realized everyone's getting controlled. But they are ignoring the fact that narcissist, they don't know them, and they don't know that they're really being controlled, and that narcissist has no love for anyone. They're ignoring that fact. What made me also realize that I was on another level of consciousness is that not only can the narcissist tell that I'm different, but the same people that always knew me, right? Like, let me give you an example. I have a good relationship with my aunt. I just never tried to understand her life in a deeper meaning, in a deeper way. And I didn't really grow up around her. So when I came into consciousness, I actually was able to talk to her and give her advice and uplift her. So it gave her confidence. It gave her, the drive. I know that it did. I know that my conversations gave her the drive. And I went to visit her one time, and we decided to go to Food for Less to pick up some stuff. And before we left, she told her narcissistic husband, because he's a narcissist, like a real narcissist, like he gives you that energy when you meet him, like very authoritative. And he's always been like that growing up. And usually when I go to her house, he doesn't say anything. He just says hello and he's quiet for the most part. But you can tell if I'm not there, he probably gets verbally abusive. So she ends up telling him, we're going to go to the store. Do you want anything? He said no. Then we went to the store, and when we get to the store, we're in the car, and next thing you know, we hear like rubber burning from the wheels, and he pulls up like this big, huge pickup truck, and he puts his window down, and he's staring at me in my eyes, and he gave me this look like he's telling me, stay away from my wife. You're waking her up. I don't want you to wake her up. And then he quickly drove off, and she was kind of shocked and was like, what was up with that? And I'm like, that's the energy. It hates me. And this is why I say when you're dealing with a narcissist, not a narcissist, an empath that's awake, but they're not fully conscious, they're dangerous because after that incident, she was telling me like, oh, spend the night. And I'm like, mm-mm. And she revealed to me that, if something happened to her, it could have been him to do it. So she's putting me in a situation where I can also be harmed. So basically, all of my years of being around you guys, around my family, he's never talked to me. Every time I come over, he's in his own world. He doesn't talk to me. So I was thinking to myself, what was so different about this time than other times? And I said, my consciousness. In the past, I was young, naive. So having a clear understanding of my aunt, it gave me an understanding about the dynamic of my family and where she fit in the family, what was her position, and it just helped me understand how she felt victimized, but at the same time, people didn't see her as a victim. They seen her as someone they tried to help. So they're like in this state of mind where they're awake, but because they're being controlled, they can't see clearly. They don't have the 20/20 vision. They're not fully conscious because they're thinking to themselves, I'm awake. I'm going to do whatever I want to do. I'm going to live my life how I want to live it. Yes, I'm with a narcissist, whatever you want to call him. Yes, I'm with him, but I understand him in ways that other people don't understand him. I view the world in ways that other people don't view the world. So even if people hate him, I have a connection to him because we see things differently. So even though no one can see what we see, me and this narcissist are in it together. And yeah, they might cheat, they might lie, they might betray me, they might have dragged me through the mud, but I'm going to stand by their side because no one gets me like them. And at this point, I'm willing to give the narcissist control because, what's the point on life if you're not happy? You might as well be happy being controlled. Who cares if I'm being controlled? It's all about being happy anyway. So at this point, I don't even want to think. I don't even want to think. I want the narcissist to think for me. I want them to make the choices. I want them to be the man. That's literally the mentality that empaths are in, and other people are looking at you. Like when you start to realize that you don't really know this person and you think back now, you realize what other people saw when they saw you. And then you realize how you saw yourself. And then you realize how you saw the narcissist. Then you realize how the narcissist really saw you. And that's when you start going into consciousness, right? So when you start waking up, that's when the narcissist tries to throw you off. They're getting mad. They're starting arguments. They're cheating. Not every single time they're cheating. Sometimes they just start arguments just to throw you off. They pretend to be mad. They pretend to be, quiet all of a sudden. And they're really being revengeful. They're looking for a new supply because they're like, oh snap, she's waking up. She's trying to control her own mind. She's starting to realize that I've been controlling her mind this whole time. So a part of her wants to thank me. That's why she's still here, because she wants to thank me, because she feels like I opened up her mind to another world, basically. So a part of her wants to thank me, and that's why she's still here, meaning that I still have control over her. And they put you to sleep again. And you start to, it's like you realize when they knock you out too, when they put you to sleep, you realize it too. And you get to the point where you're like, well, I just don't want to wake up. I don't even want to think about it. I don't even want to think how much time I've wasted. So you get in a state of mind where you're like in shock. So when you put yourself in that state of mind, when you're in shock, you're going back to sleep. So now it's like you're in a state of mind where you're awake because you know what's going on and you know you're being controlled, but you've came to accept it. So now you're in a state of mind where you're in shock, you're frozen in time. And that's where the narcissist wants you. They want you to be weak. And, eventually, even though what the narcissist, is hoping is that you don't wake up, but they know it's only a matter of time at this point. And what happens is that now you're in a state of mind where you're in shock, but you're watching everything happen. So you're like in shock and you know what's going to happen next. And it could be something very ugly where you're like, dang, it seems like my worst nightmare is coming true. It's like you know what the narcissist is going to do next because you've been controlled by them, and the narcissist consciousness was taking over your mind. So you start to know the narcissist so well, and you've been around them, you've been touching them, being sexual with them. So you can feel their consciousness in every part of who that being is, that darkness. You can feel everything about the narcissist. You can feel their pain. You can feel their anger, their rage. And that's what gets your chemical imbalance off, because now you're starting to become chemically imbalanced the way the narcissist is. And then they're projecting it on you, telling you that it's you. And that builds up your anxiety even more. And then when that anxiety is built up, you get in a state of mind of survival and you realize, okay, the narcissist is going to do this next. Because now you're in a state of survival. The narcissist is going to do this next. They're going to do this. They're going to show me the new supply. They're going to do something, way out the box. Sometimes you'll have dreams about it because that's how far ahead your consciousness is. You're thinking about the same thing, the things that they're plotting on you. You're actually thinking about it. You're just not saying anything because you're in a state of shock. So by the time it happens, because it's in their DNA and you have tapped into that, they just don't want you to have any control over them. So once you wake up and you tell yourself, I'm not crazy, everything I keep thinking is going to happen, it's happening. You get to a point where you're like, am I manifesting this? And then you get to a point where you're like, I'm going to go back to sleep. Because you're on survival mode. You're like, I'm going back to sleep. And you're like, I'm going to play dumb. I'm going to test this experiment out. I'm going to act like nothing they do bothers me. No matter if they try to start an argument, you're like, hey, I can't argue with you. You're mad. Like the little clip video that comes out, that's literally how you're looking at them. You're like, I'm not arguing with you. So you go into a state of mind where you're like, I'm going to completely shut myself off, right? And now you're seeing that it's not your energy. You're like, that's not coming from me. That's all them. They've been doing this to me. I know what they're going to do next. I know who they're with. You start even having dreams about, well, me personally, I was having dreams about the new supply. I had vivid visions of the new supply. I never told them about my dreams or anything like that. I was just watching everything play out like a movie. And when I started to go around people from, like a friend from my past, and just how she was connected to other people from my past, how the narcissist was connected to other people from my past, and those people know her, but she doesn't know him, but she knows other people. Just all these people were connected, and I was kind of in a state of shock because I had been with this narcissist for years, and we lived in different areas, and the people that, you know, I grew up with used to live in his neighborhood when he was young, when they were younger. So it just, the way it happened, I was like, how is this coincidence? Then even family members, my family, like the narcissist in my family that I didn't talk to and I cut ties with, come to find out they lived across the street from the narcissist, and they live in another city too. So I was like, how do these people live in different cities, but somehow I'm not connected to my family, but their friends live right across the street from the narcissist? This is crazy. Like, it was just little things like that happening. I was able to read through a lot of the people from my past. When I started to go through my past, through the memory lane, when I started to go around family members, I always knew things about them. I always felt a certain type of energy. But it was until I was in that conscious state of mind that I went back. And I went back because I wanted to know. I wanted to understand. I wanted to understand them. And what I came to find out when I went back is that the moment I touched them, the moment I looked in their eyes, it was like every secret that, or things that I didn't read between the lines, everything finally made sense to me, like quick, right within a couple of minutes. And I knew things that I wasn't supposed to know. I saw things that they said, stories that they always tell people. I saw that I wanted them to repeat their stories again to me. And I thought to myself, when other family members, when other people hear this person say these stories, what do they hear? Because I'm reading between the lines and it's like boom, 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 boom. And she's looking at me, smiling, smirking. And she's like, yeah, you are awake. And she's wondering why I'm awake, and the kids that she raised don't understand it. And I'm like, oh, I get it. And she's like, yeah, you're by yourself. You have to have faith in yourself, regardless if, bad or good. And that's what really, I guess, prompted me to make this video, because, you don't know the narcissist until you leave them. As soon as I left the narcissist, I was able to look back. This is why I have so many videos on their behavior, because I was able to go back and look back at their actions. I went back to my past, not because I was attached to my past anymore, because once I came into consciousness, my past life didn't matter anymore, okay? So when I went back or I talk about my stories, I don't want people to feel sorry for me. I don't want no one feeling bad, because I don't feel bad. I had to go through those things, but when I go back to my past, when I went back to my past, I went back because I wanted to confirm these things. And a lot of my videos came from that inspiration of going back and really knowing that what I knew to be true was true. So this is why I have videos on the narcissist being bisexual or having, female tendencies, and all the greed, the hate, the spirit of hate, like all those things that I talk about, it was from me studying the people around me. Like, I almost started to look at them like characters, and I'm like, okay, I'm not even mad at you. I just want to know all about your character. It's like watching a movie at this point. I just want to know, like, how did this character become this way? I'm not even angry. And like I said, a lot of things that I always felt, even about the narcissist, I always thought to myself, once I experienced, my younger brother ended up getting on drugs. And when I went back and I thought about my brother's behavior, he's a pastor now, but at the time, in his youth, he lost it. He lost it. And I remember going back thinking about the behaviors, right, that my brother was displaying. And my consciousness said to me, the narcissist was doing drugs too. You just didn't know about it. And I'm like, no, they weren't. You know how some people, they don't think the narcissist cheated on them? They're like, no, they didn't. I was with them all the time. It's like, trust me, I was too. They have time. They have time. They build relationships. That's why they always have their phones and they're pretending to play games. And, you're the type of person that you can get on your phone and you can go on YouTube and just drift off, right, on YouTube. And you're thinking the narcissist is doing the same, but they're not. So in that same manner, I start thinking about the past in those incidents. And I remember I tested the narcissist out. When they had hoovered me, I tested them out. It was so crazy because they wanted to hoover me. And I remember telling them, I said, do you have drugs? And he's like, what the hell are you talking about? He's like, so you do drugs now? And I'm like, yeah, I do. Like, do you have coke? I want to snort coke. And it was so crazy. I was really lying, but it was an experiment to me because I was like, during the relationship, I didn't even know you. But it seemed like afterwards, because I was out of that person's control, everything was hitting me. Like little things, the smallest things though. Like I would go back into memory lane and think about the smallest things. And I would be like, that reminds me of my brother. Was he doing drugs like him? And it just hit me. And when the narcissist hoovered me and I finally convinced him that I really was looking for drugs, he implied to me that he can come over and bring me some, that he knew where to get it from. And, come to find out now, I've heard a lot of things about the narcissist, and I know a lot of things he's hiding as well, but that man, he's on drugs. When my brother was on drugs, he was one of those people that any matter how crazy he was, any matter how, if he went to jail and got out, he would go get a job. He would put a suit on. He would comb his hair to the side and just look super sharp. And he has a baby face and he's young. So other women, when they hired him, it would be he would even have girlfriends that were older than him, could be his mom, that he was attracting at these jobs. And I would be like, he's just trying to use you, because I knew how my brother was. And even now that he's a pastor, I don't believe he changed. And one time we had a disagreement, and he had this smirk on his face, and he was like, yeah, you got me good. He came out of his character. And then I thought to myself, you don't know someone until you're done messing with them. And when I'm done messing with my brother, I don't care if he's a pastor, because he's treating strangers better than what he treated me. He never even apologized for his behavior when he was on drugs. So to me, it was like, you're full of it. You're still all about yourself. So all that pastor stuff, you're full of it. And he looked at me and he said, you got me good. And I was like, yeah, I know you. I know you. I know what kind of cloth you're from. So it doesn't matter what you're trying to perceive, because I'm conscious now and I know your spirit. I could feel it. It doesn't matter how fake a narcissist tries to act. You can just feel it automatically. You could read their thoughts, and when you read their thoughts, they'll start having that little smirk or those little evil eyes, or they're trying to throw you off, and your consciousness is telling you they're trying to throw you off. It's like it almost becomes like a joke, because you're just like, these people are see-through. It's like a sequel, you know? And so you don't know the narcissist until you leave, because you're under their control. And when you leave, like I said, you'll have thoughts and feelings where you're like, I miss them. I love them. What if it was my soulmate, because they understood me. They made me wake up. They made me realize things that I wasn't aware of from my childhood. You'll act like you need to thank them, but that's not what it is. Everyone teaches you stuff, you know, but it doesn't make what they did right. And that's where we mess up at, because we're a lot of people end up in conflict after that. They don't want to stay conscious. They go from being conscious, they're like, yeah, the narcissist is bad. I'm never talking to this person again. I'm ignoring them when they hoover. It doesn't matter if they send me gifts, because I know they're full of it. They're full of it. But then you'll get that thought, oh, they keep sending me flowers. Oh, they keep doing this. You'll get that thought where you'll think to yourself, well, maybe, you know, they're my yin to my yang. You know, you start thinking all of these delusional things, but they're in the past already, because they already taught you what they were supposed to teach you. All the other people in your life, they were supposed to teach you something. What the narcissist came to teach you was the real meaning of evil, you know, the real meaning of being wicked. Because when you thought about wickedness, you thought about rapists, murderers. That's what you were thinking about. People shooting up schools. That's what you thought evil was. But if you don't know the root of evil, how will you really understand the bigger picture? That type of narcissist that you were with, those are your child molesters. Those are your predators. Those are the people committing crimes. Those are the people setting other people up. Crooked police officers setting people up. No compassion for others. No compassion that you're going to ruin someone's life for the rest of their life over a mistake. You know, so in order for you to see the bigger picture, to protect yourself, you have to understand how that evil comes into your life. And that's how you will be free, and that's how you will understand that you didn't really know any of these people. And once you realize that, and you know who you are, you realize who you are by seeing what type of person what kind of role did you play with all of these people that lied on you, that slandered you, that turned their backs on you, even though you were there for them. So that's what defines you as a person and helps you understand, okay, these people did these things to me, but who was I at that moment? Okay, I wasn't fully conscious. I didn't understand. They knew I wasn't fully conscious. You know, so you're able to learn from those situations to know that you wouldn't put someone through that. So that's how you understand that you're different from the narcissist, because even if you're not perfect, and you weren't perfect even in the times where you weren't conscious, right? Fully conscious, you're able to look back and you realize that you might have did things out of ignorance because you might have been around other narcissists, but you realize that that wasn't your mission to do, to destroy others. So when you look back at those times that maybe you did act out of character or something, or you were young or naive, and you look back and you think about the people you were surrounding yourself with, you realize, I'm not bad. I was surrounded by bad people. Because you have to think to yourself, you might have had a bad experience with someone, right? But now looking back, you realize, if I had this bad experience with them, think about all the bad experiences that they were going through when I wasn't around. Or my friends were being bad and tried to involve me in something. And then later on you realize, well, if I was in a bad situation with this friend, then I wonder how many other situations they were getting into when I wasn't around. It's just that I didn't know this person. I only knew a part of them, the part of them that they were when they were with me. But when you're on the outside now you see who they were with you and who they are with themselves. And you realize, I didn't really know that person. So you don't really know the narcissist. You're just, that connection of connecting to them. But you connected to them so that you can know even your own limits, so that you can also control your anger and those dark sides of your shadow self, so that you can know what a human being is capable of with the right amount of hate, greed, disappointment. And that's what restrains you from being evil, and that's what keeps you following the rules to protect your energy. You're following physical rules and you're following spiritual rules. So I hope that this message, you guys, was insightful for your healing. I'm sending you guys lots of love. Please do not forget to subscribe if you guys are new to my channel. Do not forget to like, share, comment down below, you guys. If you guys don't get my videos, I never tell you guys to hit the notification, but try to hit the bell so that you guys can get the content that I upload, my recent content. If you guys want to book a session with me, give me 24 hours. My number is on the description. And I will talk to you guys on the next one. Love you guys. Bye.